Mississippi racer riding out. No shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi racer riding out. Till the wheels fall off, I'm driving that. Mississippi racer riding out. Wheels stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi racer riding out. Red light, green light, red light, good night. Hey, red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
Yo, what's poppin', y'all? It's your boy, it's Guardy 3, and welcome back to Sideline. Let me introduce you to the rest of the crew real quick. Of course, right next to me, as always, he is the Prince of Production, hoping for a bounce-back week. Patriots didn't be so hot last week, but that's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Kyle Edwards. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing all right. I was a little wrong with my predictions from last week, but it's all good. Got another week. Glad to be here with y'all.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, right underneath him, much happier with the Eagles as they beat the Saints this past week. Great gunny win, ladies and gentlemen. He's taking it deep. It's the Godfrey.
You guys should have cashed with me last Thursday because I told you they were going to cover, and they did easily.
Fair enough. And of course, the man that makes us all happen, he is Mr. Wire to Wire himself. It is the NFL genius, Gene Welbeck.
What's poppin'? I did cash with you, dog. Hit the same game parlay last week that I read out on the air. Garrett Wilson, anytime. Aaron Rodgers, 1.5. Guardy 3 with the dogs. I had them all. I had it all in the parlay.
Yeah, I went under and I did the same game. Went under and I went the spread. So it was, Thursday. Short games can be ugly, man. Short game weeks are ugly, Yep. Especially during the season.
We got a lot to get into tonight. I'm fired up about it. I'm fired up about talking about some football. Let's recap a little bit from last week. We'll preview tonight's game. We got a real barn burner tonight. Great football action with the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. I'm kidding. I'm really not. This is not going to be a good football game. Hopefully, the Giants keep it interesting tonight. I think this is a Cowboys roll, but we'll get into that when we break down the game. But I do want to come on air today because I drew inspiration from my man Godfrey. Godfrey last show and throughout this week, I got to give the guy credit. He has zero issue admitting when he's wrong. Zero. He'll admit it. He's like, hey, I was wrong about Dallas Goedert. I got to admit I'm wrong. I should have the dunce cap this week. Can someone Photoshop a dunce cap on my face, on my head? Because I wrote on a chalkboard 1,000 times this week, I will never bet on Will Levis again. And Guardy 3, this is now the second week. Week 1, I was right. Week 3, I was wrong. That I picked against the Green Bay Packers and thought they would be blowouts. And it was the exact opposite of that. So Will Levis is hot garbage. The Tennessee Titans are 0-3. And Kyle, I would like to invite you to the train. You can hop on the train of admitting the Titans aren't making the playoffs because that team is not making the playoffs. We can knock that shit off now.
No, yeah. I mean, teams that go 0-3 normally don't turn it around like that. So, I mean, look, they were my pick to be the 7th seed. Both of my 7 seeds haven't exactly looked good. I kind of wanted to go kind of crazy with them. So it's all good.
No, I respect that. Listen, we have a lot of teams that we picked to go in the playoffs that are not looking very good. For whatever reason, I don't know if you had this on your bingo card, but the Steelers have a 2-game lead in a division, 3 games into the season, in which most people predicted the Steelers to finish last in that division. So
I believe I did not pick them to finish last.
I didn't pick them to finish last. I picked them to finish 3rd. I picked the Bengals to finish last in that division.
Did I pick them as a playoff team, like a 7th seed, I think, or 6th seed?
You did.
Yeah.
And you right now you can have your roses for that. They are 3-0. Look, when we look at the teams that are 3-0 in the NFL right now, I don't think anybody had Pittsburgh. And I'm damn sure think anybody has Seattle. And I damn sure didn't think anybody had Sam Darnold.
I didn't have Sam Darnold, but we were both high on Seattle at the beginning of the season. We were higher on Seattle than most people. I think. Me and you specifically. I mean,
I just said they were going to be better than the Rams because the Rams. I said the Rams situation losing Aaron Donald, their defense just wouldn't get it together. I wasn't that high on them. I think I had them 9-8. Them being 3-0 is insane. But like out of those teams, forget the Chiefs, forget the Buffalo Bills, because no one circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. But I want to start with saying out of the 3 surprise teams, Seattle, Pittsburgh, and Minnesota, which one remains undefeated the longest?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's got a tough game this week at Indy. They're only a 1.5 point favorite.
They're going to shit on Indy.
Okay.
They're going to absolutely come off the top rope with the Brock Lesnar 450 splash and teabag them. Okay. And I'm not a Steelers fan. I just look at that team like I've always looked at them. They had a good defense last year. They drug subpar quarterbacks to the playoffs. Okay. Justin Fields, we could say right now, is the best quarterback out of that draft. And he's on a team that's giving us some stability.
Bro,
he's playing well. And I think they're going to let him grow in that role. Listen, you just need it above average. You just need a competent quarterback play. That's it. He's in a good situation. He's not losing them the game, and he's making plays when he has to, and that defense can keep him in games and win games for him. That defense is disgusting. They could stop the run. It's going to be hard to pass against them. I just don't think that. I mean, I think that team is well built on the defensive side of the ball. So if you can get some run, which they've been getting, I don't see the other teams running as long as those two. Those other two.
I'll give you the correct answer. The correct answer is the Seattle Seahawks because all 3 of them are going to lose this week, and Seattle plays on Monday Night Football. I think Minnesota loses this week at Green Bay. I think Pittsburgh loses this week at Indy. And I think that the Detroit Lions handle business Monday night versus Seattle. I think all 3 of those surprise teams lose this week. But with that being said,
is Johnny Unitas going to throw the ball for the Colts or Anthony Richardson?
No, you're absolutely correct. Anthony Richardson is exactly what I said he was going to be coming out of the draft. He can throw the deep ball. He cannot throw any intermediate routes. So you could be absolutely correct.
The Bears should have beat them last week. Their offensive line was historically bad.
Yeah. The Bears played so bad offensively.
Anthony
that's not all offensive line. That's play calling. That's Caleb. I don't think you went into Indianapolis when Indianapolis had the 31st ranked run defense in the NFL, went in there and had Caleb Williams throwing the ball 52 times on your bingo card.
No.
Cardi 3, did you have that on your bingo card?
No, I don't think anybody did. The key to beating that team is simple: run the ball. But the Bears just absolutely failed to do so schematically, and it doesn't help that DeAndre Swift just seems to have terrible vision running the ball. He just tends to stutter step and run into defenders rather than trying to avoid them. It was just a combination of bad play calling and just overall everybody not doing their job.
I'll take Kyle. Can I ask you a question real quick? What's the offensive issues over in Chicago? Help me understand.
No, I feel like everybody's touched on it. It doesn't make sense for Caleb Williams to be throwing the ball that many times. You can't make him a sitting duck back there because for a lot of times we saw it even in the Texans game. He drops back and he'll hold it and the pressure comes from his backside and he's not feeling it and he's taking hits. Especially coming in the week after, like you guys have said, we saw what happened to the Colts run defense. You would think Eberflus and his coaching staff, with Eberflus being a defensive guy, most defensive head coaches love the running game, but for some reason, the Bears don't. And I saw some of the things that Gardy's talking about with Swift and him not running well or whatever that is. Doesn't mean you completely abandon it. Tossing a screen pass or something, like do something. Just having him drop back and looking downfield, missing Rome Odunze and missing guys left and right. It's just dumb. And they were still in that game even with all the confusion on offense. So if they were just 10% smarter, they'd probably win that game. But yeah, I don't know what they're doing offensively in Chicago. They need to fix that.
I think they're 0.6 yards before the line of scrimmage for running backs. I think the Broncos are 0.9. So it's not good when you're below a yard and that's what you're getting before you get to the line of scrimmage, right? The offensive line is horrible. The play calling is horrible. They don't seem like they have any identity. The worst thing you could do for this young kid is make him have to pass the ball so often and put him in. Of course, he's holding the ball too long. He's still adjusting to the game. They're out of their damn minds. They're going to ruin this kid. You know, Roman Duzier is a nice draft pick, but you need to add to that offensive line. Okay, you had DJ Moore, you had Keenan Allen. Is he going to become the future Andrew Luck? You know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid. Like, protect the quarterback. Yes, put weapons around him. Give him a scheme that's going to give him a high success rate. You can't be asking him to carry the team with his arm in the third week of the season. He's still got to adjust to the speed of the game. This is why quarterbacks should be sat the first fucking year. It's so maddening. And
you're wrong. That's okay.
Well, how many just pop off in their first year successfully?
CJ Stroud.
Okay, you got an outlier. You're going to tell me all these quarterbacks? Who else?
Cam Newton,
who ran the ball most of the time and set a rushing record. Okay, but what did they do? They formulated a plan around and ran the ball.
Herbert, Andrew Luck.
Okay, Andrew Luck.
Well, hold on. Before I don't think you're wrong about that. Like you saying quarterbacks need to be sat for a year is fine. What I think you're wrong about is the way you're attacking this, and I'll explain to you, because Mike Greenberg basically said what I've been saying for the last 2 years, that you have to marry the coach to the quarterback. Now, here's the issue. This is the way he worded it, and he's absolutely correct. You cannot have a coach coaching in their lame duck year with a rookie quarterback. It never works. And I'm going to explain to you why. Why? This is exactly why. Because the first year of a quarterback, it has to be about developing the quarterback. Wins and losses should not matter when you draft a quarterback number 1 overall. They should not matter when you draft a quarterback number 1 overall. The whole year should be about developing the quarterback. But when you have a coach in their lame duck year where they're going to get fired if they don't win football games, they're coaching to win football games.
It's an organizational problem. Didn't we see this in Justin Fields?
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. It's an organizational problem. And this organization has never learned from their mistakes. John Fox drafted Mitch Trubisky. Matt Nagy drafted Justin Fields. And Matt Eberflus drafted Caleb Williams. And if they don't turn it around, next year they're going to have a new coach with a quarterback again for the 4th consecutive time. You can't do this. John Fox drafted Mitch Trubisky in his lame duck year. The ownership fired or didn't retain John Fox after Mitch Trubisky's rookie year. Justin Fields was drafted in Matt Nagy's lame duck year. You can't have a coach that needs to win to keep his job with the number 1 draft pick. Because what's going to happen is you're going to throw the ball 52 times versus the Colts because you're so freaked out and need to win the football game. It's wrong. It doesn't make sense. Oh, and by the way, listen, we all love that Rome Odunze fell to 9 for the Chicago Bears and that you could pair him with a young weapon. That offensive line sucks.
Yep.
Go out and get him a goddamn lineman. Use the 9th pick to get 2 linemen. You could probably get a lineman and drop back in the draft. Hey, give me this serviceable right tackle and give me the 22nd pick. And teams will move up. You don't need a fucking wide receiver. You need a goddamn offensive line to protect your young quarterback. And DeAndre Swift stinks. I don't care how much yards he has, expected yards. There's so much tape on him. Go watch the All-22. I will give you my fucking logins. I will give you my logins. This guy makes every wrong read in the zone.
Yeah.
Everyone, wrong read. Supposed to cut it inside, he goes outside. He's supposed to go outside, he runs into an offensive lineman. I watched that All-22 twice.
Well, we see this in Philadelphia.
DeAndre Swift was.
In Philadelphia, we knew he was leaving meat on the bone, and the evidence is Saquon's better. And what is Saquon takes all the damn meat off the bone.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, and that's why they're talking about rotating Roschon Johnson in. But again, like maybe they should have signed some depth at offensive line and then went and rolled with Roschon Johnson to begin with.
They gave DeAndre Swift $8 million.
That's what's crazy to me.
Don't give a guard $6 million.
Yeah, so they're gonna ruin him, and it just blows my mind. Get the right coach in there, but if they're gonna do that, they should do that from the beginning. And the Bears are gonna bear. You know what I mean? Like
you said something earlier in this show, Godfrey. You said something earlier in the show that drove me nuts. I almost like you see my facial expression. You go watch back the show, you'll see my facial expression because you said something that drove me nuts. You said Justin Fields is no doubt the best quarterback in that class
for right now. This week.
No, but stop for a minute, right? Stop. Why don't we look at quarterbacks that are failing in the NFL? Let's play a game just for fun. Guardy 3, Kyle, Godfrey. Give me a quarterback that's failing in the NFL. It could be anybody. Any quarterback failing in the NFL right now. Who drafted him?
I'll say I don't know the name of the GM, but
no,
Trent Baalke, Urban Meyer.
Forget Urban Meyer. Coach Urban Meyer, Doug Peterson inherited, won't commit to him. Baalke gave him an extension, gave him the highest quarterback paid in the NFL.
Well, when you say he won't commit to him, he doesn't have a choice.
No, he didn't commit to him. In the press conference this week, they asked Doug Peterson if he's committing to Trevor Lawrence to start. He said a lot of things need to change. I'm not saying anything. He's
going to get fired if they don't win this year.
100 lame duck with a quarterback in a situation. Give me another situation where a quarterback is not succeeding. I don't know. Bryce Young. What happened over there? Frank Wright wanted CJ Stroud. They fired him after 5 games. They hired a guy off the street who by the way, his specialty is resurgence projects of old quarterbacks that understand football, but they just haven't been given a chance. And said in his opening press conference, we will not build an offense around Bryce Young. He will fit into the offense we built. Yeah, that's smart. You invested all that capital into the number 1 draft pick, and you won't build an offense around him? Are you out of your freaking mind?
But every situation is different, right? How can they?
They are, but look at all these resurgent projects, Godfrey. Look at Sam Darnold. We all wrote him off for dead. Sam Darnold and Geno Smith are 6-0.
Mm-hmm.
We all wrote him off.
Sam Darnold will come back down to earth.
He might, and you might be right. But at USC, this guy was a prospect, and he looked great. And then he went to the Jets, who are the worst friggin' organization ever for a quarterback to go to. They all fail over there.
He had some awful throws last week. I'm telling you right now. You put him on a team where he doesn't have a Justin Jefferson, that ain't happening. I'm sorry, it's not. Or a Brian Flores defense.
A wide receiver. Sam Darnold's two situations were the Jets and the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Do me a favor. Name me the last Jets quarterback drafted by their franchise that was successful. Don't worry, I'll wait.
Sanchez, I guess.
Successful?
Yeah. Well, I mean
that like
got to the AFC Championship game, right? I mean,
on the back of a Rex Ryan defense.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't call him a success, but if you're gonna look at the Jets' lineage of quarterbacks that season,
you're not really giving me a lot to pick from.
That's the whole point.
So that answer might just be Joe Namath from like 1969 or 72 when
he wasn't that great. Yeah,
Pennington?
Listen,
you want to give Pennington some credit?
I'm sorry, man.
Vinny Testaverde? I don't know. Now, Vinny didn't even get drafted by them. He got drafted by the Bucs.
Right. Yeah.
Darnold will come back down to earth. I'm sorry.
And you might be right, but the point that I'm trying to make is if you look at these situations, now Justin Fields is in a new situation. All of a sudden, he can play football now. That's great. How's that work out? How does that work out? Every time it works. And every single time, look at the situations. Who are top quarterbacks in football? Name me the top 3 quarterbacks in football. Name me the top 4 quarterbacks in football. We can all say it together. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Jackson, right? Who drafted him? Harbaugh, Reed, McDermott. Are you out of your damn mind? It works every time.
Well, those are coaches where there's stability in the organization, right? I mean,
I get it, but like even Josh Allen, look at his situation. He lost Dable. They tried promoting Ken Dorsey. They did the Philadelphia Eagles thing. Well, we'll make his quarterback coach the offensive coordinator. We're going to make that work. Didn't work out. You know what? They went out and got Joe Brady. They said, we'll take Joe Brady. We're going to have him work with Josh Allen. And by the way, 3 weeks into the season, he's the MVP of the league.
yeah, people were writing him off for dead. People have the Bills.
By the way,
playoffs.
Pat, I don't care how many AFC Championship games he went to. He can go to 2. He can go to 1. That was all in the back of that defense. That was Rex Ryan. Go look up his stats. And Pat, thank you for commenting. I'm not trying to be rude.
I mean, listen, I think the situations matter. I mean, certain quarterbacks have the talent, certain don't. I mean, I think it's fair to ask, does Bryce Young have it? Because Andy Dalton came in there and definitely lit it up last week. Did the Raiders just lay down?
Jory, what do you call it? I'm sorry, Jory. Listen, I love your Titans passion. I do. I genuinely love it. I love that you defend your team. I love like your spirit. Let me just be clear. And this is not to pick on you. What do you call it if he's not failing? He has 2 of the 3 worst. I'm lying because Anthony Richardson just threw the worst interception I've ever seen in my life. But he has 2 of the worst 4 interceptions in the entire turnovers, not interception, this year. He makes dumb moments, dumb plays. They're 0-3. That's failing. That's failing.
Well, I also think when you look at these quarterback situations, the biggest thing is what are the expectations from the team? If I look at Carolina, I don't understand the Bryce Young move because unless you think Andy Dalton's going to lead this team somewhere that Bryce Young couldn't, what's the point? If you look at when he was struggling, I feel like because Buffalo looked at that situation and told themselves, this is our guy, deal with him being rough around the edges, but we feel like he'll be better. Look, it took him a couple of years. Now he's a legit quarterback. I think that's probably the biggest thing more so than anything. Because, Godfrey brought up Fields. Fields was in Chicago. Most people who looked at Fields in college said, that's a guy who can play in this league. What did Chicago do with him? Nothing. And everybody assumed he was probably a bust. He gets to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh understands what they're doing. They've made it very simple for him. We have a great defense. Don't turn the ball over, and we'll win games. And you're seeing him week by week show a little bit more in the passing game. So I feel like whatever the issue is within Chicago's front office and in Carolina, they either need to clean house and just start over with people who have realistic expectations, or we're going to continue to see these two teams do the same thing. Because, you have Andy Dalton now. Who's to say that they're not going to go looking for a quarterback next year in the draft?
They do look like crap this week coming up.
Yeah, but it's like, are you going to have any faith if they draft Shedeur Sanders or Quinn Ewers that he's going to go into Carolina and be successful?
No.
So it's like, when these teams wake up, look in the mirror and go, something is wrong in our front office and we have to get them out of here. This is what's going to continue to happen with these certain teams that just seemingly can't get it right. It's not necessarily the prospect. It's the coaching, the GM, all those guys who just don't know what they're doing.
And you nailed it. It's the organization, Kyle.
The ownership, the Bears ownership group, or the I forget her name.
Family for Chicago
and
for
the
Carolina.
Yeah. They talk about like they shouldn't have fired Lovie Smith when they fired him, right? He got too big. They didn't want a coach that was bigger than them there. I'm telling you, and you got rid of him.
They're gonna let Canales draft a quarterback next year. And then if he doesn't do well in the first 6 to 8 games, they're going to fire Canales and then hire another coach to take over that quarterback. It doesn't make sense. Guys, if I'm writing this ship, I'm a Chicago Bears owner. I'm Virginia McCaskey, who, by the way, is the McCaskey family runs the team. But
they stink.
I'm the McCaskey family, or I'm David Tepper, or I'm any of these organizations that seemingly constantly put themselves in the same goddamn predicament. God, the Browns should be on this list. The Browns ruin people. But if I'm any of these situations, I completely clean house. Yeah, we're going to suck next year. but we're going to hire a GM, a head coach, and draft a quarterback. And then we're going to sit that quarterback for a whole year and build our offensive line and wide receivers around him. And then we're going to plug him into a situation that he understands the system, and we're going to support him. That's what's got to happen. I just said so much spit come out of my mouth when I said that. That's what's got to happen. And it's everywhere in the NFL. If you look at successful quarterbacks, they're drafted by their coach into a successful organization. Guys, we all seen, and this is another mistake, right? Anybody want to tell me, don't worry, I'll wait. Anybody want to tell me the coach that drafted Justin Herbert? Anybody?
I forget his name.
Yeah.
No. It was Anthony Lynn.
Was it Staley?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was Anthony Lynn.
I forgot all about that guy.
You know why you forgot about Anthony Lynn? Because he's the only coach in the history of the NFL to be fired after their rookie quarterback won Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
You want to talk about now? Granted, they brought in Harbaugh, and Harbaugh's a well-standing coach that's going to fix the situation.
Well, they brought him in after Staley. I mean, anybody.
But my
They went through that.
they're finally starting to do the right thing. But my point being is, these organizations love to screw things up. They love to. They're just known for it. And by the way, Godfrey told you 2 years ago about the owner of the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
He told you 2 years ago about the owner of the Chargers.
Yeah,
and
Spanos family is, they're not good.
Sorry, guys. I needed that rant. I needed to get that off my chest. Because, at the end of the day, I'm telling you, there's a lot of quarterbacks in this NFL, in this league, that when they go into the right situation, they're going to look better. Justin Fields, Baker Mayfield.
Here's the thing.
I'll write the book on him. And by the way, wins, losses is no longer a quarterback stat. Stop it.
Yeah. I'm not looking at, I look at for flashes of, they're showing me they could do something, right? Whether in a bad situation or not. And you can find those flashes. I always saw that in Justin Fields. Like when you talk about Justin Fields, someone will go, oh, he can't support a receiver. I'm like, that's funny because DJ Moore had 1,300 yards last year.
Yeah.
He can't? What? Pickens. See, and people get this idea in their head. And he started winning games at the end of the year. And that's why I thought they should have built the offensive line and kept Justin Fields in the first place and got more draft capital and do it that way. But I'm not saying anything about Caleb is going to be bad or not. But, okay. So he moves on to the Steelers. They get him for next to nothing, which I thought was incredibly smart by the Steelers. They're like, oh, we'll get Russell Wilson for nothing too. And Tomlin's playing it smart. They're not making him have to win the game. There's already a good team around him, and he's going to evolve. I'm telling you right now, that's their quarterback of the future. I'm saying it's not Russell Wilson, and they stole him.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I want to highlight Pat Damon, and I want to highlight him, and I want to head to Kyle Edwards because I'm going to tell you 100% what a great blue chip organization does. The New England Patriots are a great organization. I don't care that they're losing now. I don't care that they're 1-2 now. They're a great organization built the right way. And you know why? They hired Gerard Mayo and they drafted a quarterback to fit with them. And their defense has an identity and their team has an identity. And guess where Drake May's playing right now? He's sitting on the goddamn bench. Now, Jacoby Brissett got hurt. He got some action. But that is a franchise that knows what the hell they're doing. Kyle, am I wrong?
No, I mean, because also where a lot of this comes into play is whether or not the organization listens to outside noise. Because trust me, there's a lot of people watching the Patriots wondering how come Drake May didn't start from week 1? How come he's not starting next week? And Gerard Mayo and those guys have told them, we have a plan. He's getting more reps in practice. When we feel like he's ready to go, we'll insert him. They've made it known that this is a multi-year rebuild, so they're not trying to win 10, 11 games this year. They know that's ridiculous. And I think some of these teams know they stink, but trying to play it, fake it, that they're really good, and will throw these guys out there, watch them get bang around, and then try to blame somebody else. Because, I mean, to go back to Godfrey's point about Fields, I don't have a problem with the Bears drafting Caleb Williams, but taking a wide receiver at number 9 is a luxury pick when you know your old line stinks. And that's the same issue I had when the Falcons had Desmond Ridder, and they took Kyle Pitts 5th overall.
Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson. They did it 3 times.
Quarterback can't hit him. So what's the
point
in drafting those guys?
I'll give you another luxury pick where there's a team that's a contender right now that could be even better if they didn't make a luxury pick. And I said this last year. If the Lions took Jalen Carter in that draft instead of going after Gibbs, guess what would what would you do against Gibbs and Hutchinson?
14 and Jalen Carter.
Yeah, but they made trades. They were in position to get him. They could have definitely got him. There was talks about it. The Bears could have went and got him that year too.
There you go. There you go.
And they didn't do that. Instead, they didn't have the balls to do it because they were afraid of the off the field stuff. The Eagles were like, we got the balls to do it, and we're gonna do it. He won the game for the Eagles last week. Pretty much won the game for him. So, but those are both Gibbs was a luxury pick. You had David Montgomery. Come on, man. Like, and that's why a team like the Lions, they're gonna compete, but they're not gonna close. I'm sorry. Some people on the Super Bowl, I don't think they're gonna close. The Bears aren't going to compete. They aren't going to compete, and they should, because they don't build around the positives that they have in an organization.
Cardi 3, I'm going right to you. I'm going to lead right into you, though. I see you right at chomping at the bit. I'm going to lead right into you. See what I did there, Kyle? A little chomping at the bit action. But another organization that made a beautiful decision. The Packers hired Matt LaFleur in, I believe it was 2019. Brett, I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. They went 13-3. Their quarterback won the MVP of the league, and they went out and drafted Jordan Love to develop under their coach. And when Aaron Rodgers played his, I want to do dashikis and all this crazy shit in offseason, the Packers like, okay, we'll move on from Aaron Rodgers. We have Jordan Love. He's been developing in our system. He was drafted by our coach. And all of a sudden, a good organization doesn't take another step back. By the way, I just checking. Since 1990, anybody want to tell me how many starting NFL quarterbacks heading into the season the Green Bay Packers have had?
Like 4?
I think it's
3.
3.
Yeah, it's 3.
I think it's 3.
I know we have.
If you're counting Don Mikowski, I believe he was in the early 90s.
No, I'm starting at Favre. Okay. And then they went from Favre to Rodgers to Love. Cardi 3, tell us how successful organizations think, because you are a fan of one.
The Packers tend they'll make choices that at the time you'll question it, but then it looks brilliant a few years later. They always make sure to restock at key positions. So you'll see them go out and they'll draft O-linemen, and you'll be like, well, why did you draft a guy like Zach Tom, for example? You already have David Bakhtiari playing at an all-pro level. You could use it on the skill position. Well, now guys like Zach Tom and that entire offensive line are balling because we continuously replenish it. And even the same for the defensive end. Okay, Zadarius Smith is great. He's playing awesome, and so is Preston Smith. But you know what? We need somebody for the future. Even though they're at an elite pass rushers this year, let's go get Rashawn Gary. Let's go get Lucas Van Ness. The Packers always just make sure that young guys are trained and just ready before they even have to hop into action. Love got to sit behind Rodgers, and you just see it all over that roster. Quay Walker got to learn from Devondre Campbell. Rashawn Gary learning from Zadarius and Preston Smith. Same with Lucas Van Ness. We draft Devontae Wyatt. He gets to learn behind Kenny Clark. I think overall what makes an organization successful half the time is just letting the football guys who train their whole lives to do their job and have the kind of foresight to prepare for future events that are going to happen, and just keep restocking those positions of need. And if you can take a luxury pick, take one, but don't take luxury picks if you have a position of need.
Yeah, another team like that.
Yeah, good.
Or that's the anti that is the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones wants to do everything that was good 20 years ago. Let's bring in Mike Zimmer. How's that been working out? We'll see. It might work out tonight because it's the crap matchup we'll talk about later on. But anyway, and you get the same result year after year after year because it's the same guy making the same tired ass decisions. Okay. Let's bring in Rob Marinelli. Let's bring in Mike Zimmer. Let's have the whole AARP for defensive coaches there. You had Dan Quinn. You knew he was going to eventually leave. That was a good hire. I'll give him that. Very good hire. But they're taking a step back this year. And Mike Zimmer, like, there's a reason why he washed out of Minnesota. The game might have passed him by. Maybe they rebound. They got talent on that side. But the point is, Jerry Jones makes the same type of decisions year after year, whereas the Green Bay Packers make the unpopular decision. I loved when they drafted Jordan Love because they had the foresight to see that Aaron Rodgers was going to be a b-hole and he was going to cause problems down the road. And they were like, well, we got our backup plan. They knew they didn't have their Johnson in their hand, and they sat Jordan Love for 3 years. And look, it's worked out for them. So they're competitive, right? And that's the thing about football. Like, you got to be competitive to have a shot. Some of these teams,
thanks, John.
they don't know how to do it.
Sean Madden over here. Just kidding. But yeah, real quick, and I want to ask the panel this. When was the last time a team made a luxury pick that worked out for them? Like, you remember Ezekiel Elliott going 3, Saquon Barkley going top 10, Bijan.
Define working out, though.
London, Kyle, a top 10 pick that you didn't need to take a skill position. You took a skill position player when you should have took a lineman or a defensive player.
So how does it work out? Like, they made the playoffs with and they took
made a playoff run. The guy had a great career for the franchise.
Okay.
It helped them in the long run. Helped me. And guys, like, you know, it's funny. This is the one me and Cottrell always visit. I seen him in the chat. I remember on draft night, and I don't know if Cottrell would have did it differently, and I don't know if it works out any better for the Bengals. But let's revisit Jamar Chase. Do you think the Bengals, if they redid that, they would have took Penei Sewell? Now, both of them are all-world players. Let's be clear.
They got to Super Bowl, so I got to say that worked out for them. You know,
they did get to a Super Bowl. That's right. Jamar Chase would be a luxury pick that possibly could work out. I mean, know.
The Bengals, you got to say this sentence. The Bengals got to the Super Bowl. I mean, that is something you can only say 3 times in your life of like 50 years.
That's fair. That's the only one I can think of, though, of a luxury pick that worked out for a team. A team that overdrafted a running back or a tight end or a wide receiver, and it worked out for them. It just doesn't normally happen.
I mean, I have plenty of ones that didn't. But you know, the Raiders were the king of that for a long time. I was at the draft in person when they drafted Darius Hayward-Bay.
Oh my God, number 8 overall.
And I could just hear Al Davis saying, "Speed kills, speed kills." And the Raiders fans were like,
What? I want to see where he got drafted. I think it was 8 overall.
I think it might have been 6. It might have been 6.
Let's check. You might be right. Bay draft. Let's find out. I just went off the top of the head. I think we're both wrong. It's 7.
Okay.
Not bad, though.
Still in top 10. I mean, that's
doesn't work. Hasn't worked. Never works. Sorry.
You gotta fill holes on your team. That's the point. And you gotta build from the trenches. It's just how the NFL works.
We gotta preview a football game. Before we preview a football game, I do want to ask you guys one question. And this to me might be a little selfish. This isn't meant for sideline to sideline. This probably isn't a national story like it is us in Philadelphia. But I want to ask your question. Do you guys think, from an outsider's perspective, that the Saints are a dirty team? I don't know how many people watched that Eagles-Saints game, seen all the dirty plays, Devontae Smith getting spit on, the helmet to helmet. Like, I honestly, I want to hear your opinions. Do you guys think, from an outsider's perspective, that the Saints are still that dirty Greg Williams team, Bounty Gate, that same culture?
I mean,
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say it seems like it. That last game, they came off as really dirty, especially with like that hit on Smith and spitting on the Eagles there. Like, I saw Jalen Carter all fired up at the end of the game, and I really couldn't blame him after dealing with that for the entire game. Yeah, no, the Saints, they came off as really dirty, and that's just kind of always been how they have been.
Kyle?
Yeah, because I mean, even if you didn't see the stuff with Greg Williams and all that, just the way that play played out with Devontae Smith, like in the grass with like 3 guys, and then a 4th guy coming in to clean him up. Now, these are players who say that they're a brotherhood and they look out for each other and all this kind of stuff. It's like it was just so unnecessary of a hit. And now, with Devontae Smith and concussion protocol, like we don't know necessarily when he clears and everything like that. It just was a dirty play. And like I said, unless you like look back at the Saints' history, you may not think they're a dirty franchise or anything like that. But you look at some stuff from the past and then compare it and then add it to what they did against Philly. It's like, I mean, you got to kind of throw it on them, even with no Greg Williams and no Sean Payton or anything anymore. There's somebody else that's taken over and has them prepared.
And Allen from that, Dennis Allen was the replacement for Greg Williams. As the defensive coordinator for Sean Payton. By the way, Linda brings up a question, and we kind of like grazed over this because he said, "Great show, guys. Appreciate you." Lindo from Northeast Streaming Sports over at Roku. Check them out. They're awesome. Appreciate everything you guys do for us. But great show. You guys speak of coaches involved in drafting quarterbacks. Jim Harbaugh didn't draft Herbert. How long does Herbert go at Harbaugh if he doesn't get back to where he played before? I think that is the one situation where Harbaugh can develop and be humble enough to develop a scheme around the quarterback that they have in place. I think he's that good of a coach. And with the college pedigree he's had, the previous NFL pedigree he's had, I think Harbaugh can make that situation work. You guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Harbaugh can make the situation work. I do have to question his decision of playing Justin Herbert last week. I almost feel like he's saying, hey, I can just run these guys into the ground and go to the transfer portal like he's in Michigan still. Like, I like, what the hell is – that was – you can't do that, buddy, when you got $270 million quarterbacks in the NFL. That will get you bounced out of the league real quick. I don't care who you are. It was the most idiot – against that defense, that was stupid. That's a guy right there that lives for today and says F tomorrow. And that was that type of decision. So can he get it done? I'm a believer in Harbaugh, but he needs to course correct. I'm pretty sure his dad or his brother would be like, yo, Jim, what were you thinking on that one? Because that's, now he's hobbling around. High ankle sprain is not like a regular ankle sprain. That you're going to take at least 4 to 6 weeks to come back from a high ankle sprain. So, and yeah, man.
Definitely couldn't play this week versus Kansas City.
No, absolutely not. Should not.
Especially with that defense. Spagnola's going to be coming after him the whole. Yeah. But Kyle,
he'll get it done.
43. Do you think that Harbaugh will stick it out with Herbert? You think there'll be a marriage? It might be like a second marriage, right? Like 2 divorced couples. That's like a marriage, like an arranged marriage, right?
Right. I feel like because of Herbert's potential and what we've seen from him, I think he can make it work. I mean, look, maybe in Harbaugh, in the back of his mind, he might think maybe he can get J.J. McCarthy there at some point. We know he loves his Michigan guys, but I mean, I think he can. I think Harbaugh is smart enough to know that Herbert is a type of quarterback that you don't necessarily just move off of. And Harbaugh's system seems to be pretty simple. Rely on a running game and take pressure off your quarterback. Why couldn't Herbert succeed in that?
Any man that was able to revive Alex Smith, I got to give a shot. He was dead to rights before he came to San Francisco. Dead to rights. He revived his career, and then he ended up having a good run with, Kansas City. Alex Smith and, Kaepernick came in, but, he had Alex Smith looking good until.
Yeah, but his loyalty wasn't to Alex Smith, bro.
For sure.
And that's the point that Linda's bringing up. Will he remain married? Is he going to cheat on his wife?
Well, the previous wife in San Francisco didn't have a $270 million contract, so yeah,
right.
He will remain married.
Yes. What's your thoughts?
Especially with those cheap owners.
That's fair.
Yeah. I think this is one that sticks. Money aside, I think we've seen the kind of talent that Herbert is. He's an absolutely phenomenal quarterback, just playing with an anchor that is Brandon Staley. And Harbaugh, I think not only can he see that, he's already developing a scheme to make life so much easier. And Justin Herbert, even though he's throwing less, looks better than he has at any point in these past few years under Staley. So I almost think he's looking better by doing less. And I think these two feed perfectly off each other. And I think this will be a happy marriage for years to come.
And do you want to hear the funny part of it, Guardy 3? At the 5th overall pick, they had the opportunity to grab Malik Neighbors, who, by the way, is a great young wide receiver. But what did Jim Harbaugh do? He went out and got Control-Alt-Delete Joe Alt to protect his quarterback. And Quentin Johnson, who was a first-round draft pick last year, all of a sudden seems like he could play football now. Isn't that funny how that works? When you protect the quarterback, some other things just start playing. Now they got Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt as their bookend tackles. That might be the best tackle combination, not named Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata. That's me being an Eagle homer. I'm good with that, though.
You bring in a guy like Harbaugh to build a program, and that's what he's there
exactly
for. And that's what they needed to do, and that's a situation where, we were talking about earlier where you have to wipe the slate clean, and that's what they're doing. So they're in it for the long haul. And I do believe that he'll get them competitive, and he'll build a culture there.
And then the last thing I kind of want to bring up before we preview the game is, and I said this earlier, and I said it last night on Wire to Wire, can we get Brian Flores a friggin' head coaching job again?
Yes.
Like, what else does he have to do? That Minnesota defense looks different. And once again, there's another great breakdown on all 22. I'll give anybody my logins that wants them. They can message me. They have a breakdown on the way he's playing cover 4, but he's not playing a real cover 4. He's just making you try to figure out which zone he's basically playing a cover 4, but sending one of the safeties on a blitz and making you figure out which one of the 4 zones is uncovered. It's unbelievable. Like, he's playing a shell cover 3. It's so disgusting, the style of defense. He's making you throw the ball to the flat over and over and over again. It's insane.
He'll get a shot in Baltimore. He'll get a shot in Baltimore next year as a head coach.
Oh, wow. You're just predicting John Harbaugh getting let go.
Well, the offensive, you can't get rid of Lamar. The offensive coordinator is gone. You can get rid of another OC. Might be John can't do it. I don't know. You paint yourself into a corner.
Yeah.
At least if you get a nasty D with imagine what Brian Flores can do with those players.
I'll be funny when I say this, but Brian Flores passed up a few head coaching opportunities, and I really respect that. I think the next job that he takes will be in a good organization with a good ownership group.
I think he's going to be choosy. I don't think he's going to take whatever is available. I 100%. Really do.
Yeah.
I will say Malik Willis has been awesome, but Brian Flores scares me, and I hope Jordan Love's ready next week. If he's fully healthy, I'd really rather have Jordan Love over Malik Willis. Malik Willis has been awesome, but I don't know if he's ready for Flores.
Jordan Love's playing. I'll bet my nuts on it. He's playing. He's playing this game. This is what he's paid for. He didn't go on the IR. I know you thought that you lost like your dog when he heard his game in the chat. Heard us saying, I told you, calm down. It might not be as bad. And it was not as bad. It looked bad, but it was not as bad. And he will be playing in that game. I'm telling you, he's going to play. This is, listen, if you want to win the division, and the kid's healthy, I think he was practicing last week, if I wasn't mistaken. We're correct. He had some limited practices, and I think he's playing.
I don't want to rush him, to be clear, Derek. If he's not healthy, don't play him. But if he is ready, I'm hoping that he's ready pretty much and that he can play, because Malik Willis, as great as he is, Brian Flores has just been so incredible with that defense. I'm not sure if Malik will have the arm and just awareness to be able to pick that.
If he was that hurt, why didn't they put him on the injury reserve for 4 weeks?
The hard part is, yeah, but every time anybody asks if he's playing next week or if he's hurt, they just go, yeah, he's limited. That's all they're getting. So nobody's actually sure if he's playing this week or how close he is to playing half the time.
Just show him some tape of Alex Singleton playing on a torn knee for like 12 tackles. Right. I'm just saying, dude. They're setting it up for this. I mean, it couldn't be scripted better, right? I mean, the Packers are 2-1. The Vikings are 3-0. He's coming off an injury. He's ready, man. If it wasn't a real MCL sprain and it was low grade, whatever, that he would have been on the IR. There's no way he's not playing. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. I mean,
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Well, we got to preview a football game that's ahead of us tonight. The Dallas Cowboys are headed into New York to take on the New York Football Giants. Giants coming off a win at Cleveland last week. Dallas Cowboys coming off another loss at home versus the Baltimore Ravens, who absolutely gashed that defense on the ground. Good news for Dallas is that I don't know if the New York Giants can gash that defense on the ground the way the Baltimore Ravens can. Listen, 87% of the public is on Dallas. Spread was at 6. It moved to 5.5. It is reverse line movement. Vegas is telling you that the Giants are going to keep this game close. I don't see how it happens. I'm lost. I'm confused. I'm trying to understand Vegas's angle, but also understand how the Cowboys do not destroy the Giants. Last time these teams played in New York was last year, week 1, and it was a 40-0 victory for the Dallas Cowboys. Matter of fact, last year, Dallas Cowboys beat the New York Giants by a total of 84 total points. So someone help me understand how the Giants make this any different than what it's been the last 2 times these teams played.
I think it's simple that this Cowboys team isn't last year's Cowboys team. This Cowboys team seems like they are kind of mentally soft. And I feel like tonight they need to kind of get out to a big lead, because I think if it's a close game and it's like pressure packed and everything, I have no faith in that Cowboys team doing what it takes to win. And I know you said like you don't think the Giants can gash the Cowboys defense. At this point, it looks like anybody can. I wouldn't be surprised if Montgomery goes nuts for the Giants or whatever. And that's kind of been the biggest problem, is like, we understand the Cowboys offense is what it is. Like they did nothing in the offseason to help them. They brought back Zeke Elliott. It's probably like 5 years too late on that one, but that was their biggest move offensively. They didn't bring in anybody to help CeeDee Lamb in any way. Dak is back there guessing, and I just don't like where this Cowboys team's going. I don't understand. Jerry Jones was like a couple of weeks ago, he thought like he's like one of the best GMs ever or something like that. Like, you wait the day of your first game to sign your quarterback, and somehow it's supposed to be like, oh, this is a well-run organization. Mike McCarthy will probably lose his job because Jerry Jones didn't do a thing for him in the offseason. We're already hearing all this stuff about Bill Belichick and this guy and that guy. If I'm Bill Belichick, number one, why would I jump into this situation? But that's just me. I kind of think the Giants keep it close. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants pulled an upset, because I just don't believe in this Cowboys team right now. They look like a mess.
Gardy 3, the one that picked the Giants last week to win at Cleveland outright. By the way, someone that's in this panel said that he might have been doing some narcotics or some types of drugs for that pick. I don't know who it is. We're not going to point at anyone.
Yeah,
Gardy 3.
That was probably going to be my greatest prediction of the year. I think it's easy, and Kyle said it. I know PFF isn't the end-all, be-all, but I'm going to give you a number. The number is 29. PFF grades out of 100. The New York Jets have a run defense ranking of 45.5. The Cowboys are the worst run defense in the league, according to PFF. Run grade 29.9. They have been absolutely abysmal against the run. This is a team that just does not like to fight through contact at all. They are just not physical. Listen, I think the Dallas Cowboys win this game, but I do think the Giants are having an avenue to keep it close by just being physical, punch them in the mouth. And this Cowboys team so far through the first 3 weeks have not responded well to the physicality of the run game, that's all. The offense, I think, will be more than enough, but this defense can be compromised and had. And I think the Giants, as long as they don't try to make Daniel Jones play hero, can absolutely keep this one close.
I do want to point something out, and I think this is hilarious. When I look at PFF and I break down running backs, it's really funny. Devin Singletary was the 38th grade at running back last week. Ezekiel Elliott, 44th. There's only 32 teams in the NFL.
Gardy, can you look up where the Giants secondary is rated? Because I'm getting a call. Hello? Oh, that was Joe the Peanut guy. Schley Del Vecchio told me that he's starting for cornerback for the Giants tonight because that's how depleted they are in that secondary. My grandmother is going to be able to pass on them tonight, and CeeDee Lamb is going to have a monster night. And they might have a defense that's in trouble, but the Giants will not be able to stop CeeDee Lamb. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. That secondary is god awful. Then everybody's injured on there. Who is going to be able to stick CeeDee Lamb or even Jalen Tolbert or even Brandon Cooks? They're going to pass a lot on the Giants, and they're going to put up probably 25 plus points on them, maybe 30 points. And I totally see that happening, and I think the Cowboys are going to handle them. And as you know, I'm no Cowboys fan, but and I do not like the Giants. Anybody knows me knows that. But I got to tell you, I don't think that the defense is bad enough where they're null and void of talent. I think they need a scheme adjustment, and I don't think that Devin Singletary is going to run away with it. And Malik Neighbors, he might eat some, but I just don't see it. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is going to have a field day tonight. I just don't. I think the Cowboys easily win this game.
And that's what the public is. The public's all over Dallas. 87% of money's on Dallas. The spread is now dropped to -5. Does that concern you at all? Do you have any concern with the fact that all the money is on Dallas and the spread keeps moving towards New York?
No, I think they're trying to draw people in. I don't.
That's the biggest suckers bet there is. They're making it easier to bet on Dallas.
I just don't see it. I mean, listen, I could be wrong. Maybe the defense would have to come out gangbusters from New York and completely upset that. I just don't know if the offensive line is that bad where that's going to happen. And it's a really bad secondary. Drew Hill, I think, is even out, and I forget his name.
Out. He was their number 1 graded cornerback last week. He was 7th in pass defense.
Right, so. And he's out. So who else is Schley Del Vecchio starting for him from the Raritan Fighting DeLucas? So, I mean,
Isaiah Simmons. Remember Isaiah Simmons, the old linebacker joker position for the Arizona Cardinals? We'll be starting the nickel cornerback tonight for the New York Giants, which I find very interesting. But it looks like their starting cornerbacks tonight will be Deonte Banks and Nick McLeod. Nick McLeod, if you don't know who he is, he used to play at Notre Dame. He was burnt toast at Notre Dame. But we'll see. Deonte Banks is the first-round draft pick.
That's actually the guy that was selling the peanuts. So
that's fair.
So it makes sense.
I mean, Kyle, give us a prediction on the game score.
I mean, I do think that the Cowboys do win, but I do think the Giants keep it closer. I'll go. I mean, how many points did the Cowboys offense put up? Let's say 27-23.
That covers. I see what you did. I'm going to go Cowboys 24, Giants 20, and I will be so happy to be wrong. If I'm wrong and the Cowboys lose this football game, I will be ecstatic. But I will never bet with 87% of the public. I'm just not doing it. If 87% of the public's on one way and the line's moving the other way, Vegas is telling me something. It's fishy. It stinks.
It's -6 now, Cowboys.
It's -5 on ESPN.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a short week game, but I just don't see. It's just untenable. I mean, I know the public's on it, but I just think this is an easy one to call.
Okay.
I'll guess the 28-14 Cowboys. I think they keep a 1 touchdown lead, then get a late touchdown to pull away at the end.
31-17 Cowboys.
So you both have 2 touchdown wins. Me and Kyle both have them winning, but not covering. It looks like the spread opened at 4, apparently. I did not see that. I never seen it at 4. But it moved up to 6, dropped back down to 5. 83% of the money is on the Dallas Cowboys tonight. I think it's a trap line. I think Vegas put that line out there to trap you. And I think they're going to make a lot of money. And it could be like a Cowboys winning the game by 10 or by 11, and the Giants score like a last-second touchdown, and maybe that's where I'm missing. I think this Giants team stinks. I think their front seven is good, and I don't think they're good anywhere else on the field. And Malik Neighbors is good. So they have one good wide receiver and a very good front seven. Other than that, I think I'd throw this Giants team in the trash.
Dude, they gave him the amount of targets he's had, which is good for him because he's talented. I think he has 22 targets over the last 2 weeks, something around there. Malik Neighbors, I have a rating.
Who else throw the ball to?
Well, that's my point. I mean, so yeah, no, I'm sorry, 30 targets over the last 2 weeks. If we're going to count week 1, it's 37 targets over 3 weeks.
Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton are your 2 and 3. I'll pass. Any final thoughts, gentlemen, for this week? Any games that you guys are really looking forward to? You guys want to touch on, give it a bold prediction or opinion?
No, go Pack go. I'm excited to be the 1-3-1.
Man, you guys to go 3-1, missing Jordan Love for 2 games. I will be so blown out. It'll be the biggest win to be a Packers fan. You want to talk about a roller coaster ride? I'll tell you, the roller coaster ride being an Eagles fan, watching Sunday football is like, oh, great. I can't wait to watch my team play football. That happens, and then the game starts. And then for 55 minutes, you're like, I want to hurt myself. And then the last 5 minutes, like, oh, great, we won. Like, it's not fun. It's not exciting. I have not had fun watching the Eagles be 2-1. Kyle, how do you see this game? Anything you want to add for this weekend?
I mean, the game I'm interested to see is probably Bills Ravens, only because I've been thoroughly surprised by Josh Allen this year. I was one of those who wasn't necessarily as big on them, but he's turned like Khalil Shakir into like a number 1 wideout. He finally found Dalton Kincaid a little bit last week against the Jags. I've been wondering where he's been. So I'm excited to see what he can do against a Baltimore team that, yeah, they beat the Cowboys, but as we talked about the Cowboys, that's not that big of a deal to me.
That's a trap line, too. I love Baltimore. That's a Sunday night game. And Baltimore and primetime games at home it's such a tough place to play.
Sure.
If Buffalo wins that game, it'll be a come-from-behind victory. Because Baltimore cannot hold a lead.
Which is weird. They're built on defense and running the ball and can't hold leads.
It's crazy.
Which
Godfrey,
is why
anything you're looking forward to this week? Oh, you said go Pack go. Godfrey, anything you're looking forward to this week?
life. But seriously though, I'm gonna go with Anthony Richardson is going to get smoked by the Steelers. -1.5 line for that game is an absolute gift. An absolute gift. Bet your mortgage on it. Take out your kids' college fund.
Jesus Christ.
All right. And only take out half the college fund, just in case you fail, he go to community still. But listen, I'm just saying that's an absolute lock. That defense is going to eat him for lunch. I just don't see how they're going to be able to do that. They barely handled the Bears. They beat them, but this ain't the Bears defense. This team is this is a well-run organization, and it's coached very well. They're going to, and oh, by the way, the Steelers like to run the ball. What do the Colts do? They get run on, and they will do what the Bears didn't do last week.
All right, y'all. That's it for our show tonight. Sideline to Sideline is finished. As we're seeing the Cowboys and Giants about to kick off, I appreciate y'all tuning in this week. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That's the Godfrey's taking it deep. Integrity Sports Own, chomping at the bit, Kyle Edwards, and N1 Podcast, Meaty Boy Podcast, Guardy 3, and we are signing